Hey, it's Jason with Threefold Solutions here again. This time today, we're talking about registrations, not your typical how-to registrations. This is your, I need to do a registration or a sign up in Planning Center for a large conference. What are some of the options that I have available to me? That's why I'm making this video. Sometimes you get to that place where you feel like you know registrations, you feel like you have a pretty good handle on it, but then you need a little help with how do I do this? And a lot of times, one of the questions I get is how do I handle these larger events, these conference-sized events? So in this video, I'm going to basically walk you through how to use some selection type options, some add-ons as options to do some things you might not traditionally utilize them for. And maybe that'll help you with how you might be able to set up that large event inside of Planning Center check-ins and keep everything on platform in one place without having to go to one of those bigger, third-party situations. So as I mentioned to you before, I'm Jason with Threefold Solutions. We make these videos all the time just to help people. And we love Planning Center and we love helping people use Planning Center. And if you ever need any help with that, we offer training, coaching, strategy sessions, and we're really good at migrations as well. So if you're somebody who's watching this video and you're actually stuck using, Dinosaur System XYZ and you'd like to be in Planning Center, well, give us a call. Look us up on the web. We're at threefold.solutions. I'm sure we could help you get from A to Z in Planning Center and living the good life on the Planning Center side of things at your church. Don't forget to give us a like down below or hit the subscribe button if you like getting these types of videos. We'll continue to make them. We love to make these videos to help people, and ultimately hearing from you, whether it's a question, a comment, or just simply a subscription, lets us know that it's worthwhile and that you're getting something out of these. So again, let's jump into the video. Let's take a look at how to do registrations and signups for large events or conferences. Okay, today we're talking about registrations again, and in this particular video, I'm going to talk about how to use Planning Center registrations for large events or conferences. And I'm not going to go through all of the, how to and treat this like an intro or a beginner's video. I'm actually going to walk you through some of the features I think that are very helpful when you have a large event and you'd like to use Planning Center registrations to kind of accommodate some of those extra little nuances that you need when you plan one of these events. So why don't we take a look at a few of those now, and I'll walk you through how I would set something like this up. All right, here we are looking at our Rise Up 2024 conference, and first place I'm going to go is the configuration tab. So here we go over to configurations. I'm not going to cover how to do some of this basic stuff here. You can obviously add an image, you can add the dates and times, and you can set the location and some of the other information here. But one of the things I do want to talk about here is your selection type. So I'm going to move over here to selection types on the left, and let's talk about how you can utilize different selection types when you're dealing with a conference that may have different types of attendees. Now, once upon a time, these selection types were actually called attendee types. And so it does make sense that these would be set up for different types of attendees. Now, in my example, I've got a conference attendee, and we've got some information set up here. So let's click on conference attendee. Now, when you click on that, you can see that we've got some different options we can set here. Now, if I had this set up specifically for something related to children and I wanted to kind of keep that broken out with gender, I could certainly do that, but no need to do that with this one. Also, we can be very specific with ages and or grades. In this particular instance, I just said minimum at least 16 years of age. And that was by 7/15, which is the date of our actual event. Now down below that, you can choose to add some additional information. Sometimes I choose to just include gender just because. I will say as a best practice, it's always good to add email, phone, and even address. I feel like when you add this additional information or request this additional information, it really does help you cut down on managing your duplicate profiles that can be created during times like this, such as registrations or events where somebody may attend and use a different email address or a different phone number. And, in that situation, for the sake of managing your duplicates later on, it's always good to have additional information to help you identify if that truly is the same person. So just a tip there. But whether it's required or not is up to you. Sometimes I like to keep email and phone number required. I think it's becoming more common nowadays to have to provide some of that information, so it's not that big a deal. Also, just know you can put a custom confirmation message below any of these selection types. And in this particular area, I just put add additional information for conference attendees if necessary. You notice here you can add an additional logo or image. You can link to something that might be important. If you need to link to a form or something externally, you can do that here as well. But this is just inserted into your original confirmation message as additional information. So it might be specific to conference attendees. Then again, if I click on configuration here, go back to selection types, and we look at something maybe special. This is a special type of attendee. Maybe there's this grand seating, somebody who wants, front row seats reserved for them. Maybe this is special. If we click on this, we can set the cost. It's slightly higher, so we've put the payment here. We can also allow people to make partial payments. So if we want to click on that, we can say, hey, you have to at least do $25 as an initial deposit or minimum deposit, and we can save that. We can also do the age thing again here. I put basically 18 years old. You need to be at least 18 years old to sit in the front row. Maybe you have a different requirement, but that's what we're putting here. And in this particular area, I've done pretty much the same information here. It's always good to have an emergency contact, not just for kids, but for others. And it may not necessarily need to be required, but it's always good to ask. And then here, maybe there's some special information you'd like to pass along for these, special seating attendees. So you could always put that information down here as well. There's one more actual option here, and that is breakout session leader. Now, this could go on and on. You could have multiple types of selection types or attendee types here. So feel free to use this for every different type of attendee you may have. Now, I did a breakout session leader. Sometimes we ask people to participate in some of the small roundtable breakout sessions that we have. And a lot of times we'd like to give them a little bit of special treatment. And we're going to do that later with like a discount, for example. But in this case, I still want to treat them separately and put them into their own bucket, so to speak. And by doing that and using a selection type, we can kind of accommodate that. And we'll see that here in just a minute. So again, same type of settings here. It's all listed here. You can see the restrictions. You can see if there's any current registrations when the time comes. Here's one thing I wish Planning Center wouldn't put on detailed signups is this wait list option. It's not available actually for detailed signups. It's only available for simple signups. And if you hover over it, it tells you that. I just wish it wasn't in the UI right here. So, just kind of begging me to click it. Ultimately, I wish they did have that available for all types of signups, but it is only available at this time for simple signups. So just a little bit of a note there. And again, there is this capacity option here with your selection types. If you need to set capacity, like we only have a limited number of seating options for this grand seating, maybe you just put that total here. And so as soon as you enter that, you'll see that you have 0 of 25 available, and you'll basically see a countdown. So as soon as somebody chooses one of those, it'll be 1 of 25 or 2 of 25. And you'll see that as people start to register. Okay, the other thing I'm going to mention here for a conference type of scenario is questions. You have these attendee questions, and you also have registration questions. These can be helpful when you need to gather some additional information. I think something like, have you attended this conference before, is good to know. Maybe who are you looking forward to seeing or hearing at this conference? What is your favorite topic at this conference? Things that you can gather to help you with the upcoming conferences that you may have. So it's always nice to ask some questions here with the attendee questions, but we also have registration questions as well. Now, in this situation, you might ask somebody, do you need assistance? Do you need any type of special accommodations? That could be a question. There's lots of ways you can utilize these. I think the rule of thumb here, and it even kind of says this down below, is, people, when there are capacities in place, people have a 15-minute timer that basically runs while they're filling out their information. If you ask too many questions here, you may get into a place where they don't have enough time to fill out all of your questions and fulfill the registration requirements before that 15-minute timer starts all over again. So just bear that in mind. They generally recommend 5 questions, no more than 5. So keep it simple for folks. Okay, now we skipped over something here, so I want to go back to it, and that's add-ons. Add-ons can be so useful for something like a conference. So I've kind of utilized multiple different types of add-ons here to give you some examples, but here's a great way you could potentially do some add-ons to help you with maybe some breakout sessions, with lunches or dinners, all different kinds of ways. So let's click on this first one, breakout sessions, Monday, 2 p.m. So on this particular breakout session grouping, I've added some variations, and you can do that by clicking the add variation button. It's not just for the things that you might normally use this for, like t-shirts. Sometimes we do purchase a t-shirt for this event, or purchase a book, or purchase something. And a lot of times with t-shirts, we do variations because we want to offer sizes, small, medium, large, all that good stuff. In this situation, I'm doing it a little different. I'm doing variations with the idea that each variation is a different session. And you can even put quantity on here. And of course, if you were charging for these additional breakout sessions, you could put a price on them. So it might be $10 or $25 extra to attend a particular breakout session. And you could break it, that price into different sessions if you want to here. But ultimately, I've just got these set to 0. They're part of the overall attendance fee that you've already paid. So I've just left it 0. But I've got 3 different sessions here, and they're all happening at 2 p.m. Now, if they were happening in certain rooms, I might even put that here, room 101, and maybe this is, the main lobby, or something like that. But if you have certain things that are specific, spell it out for folks. So if breakout sessions are happening in one particular area, put that in the title of the add-on, or just put it specifically in the variation. So that's kind of how these work. Now, if we were to, let me go ahead and move this so I can save it real quick here. Now, if we save this and we go back to add-ons, you'll see it's still a great way to just keep going with this. So when you click on this, you can also set up some additional information here where you could literally put lunches in this as well. So if you wanted a lunch to happen, and maybe for the most part, you just include those add-ons with some pricing, you can do that as well. So one of the main things here is, what are your different areas where either A, you're going to charge for something such as a lunch or a dinner, or you want to break things out that people can make a selection for and add on to their conference registration. So let's take a look at a couple of these. Okay, so Monday, for example, if we click on Mondays, you're basically seeing Monday lunch. This is actually where we're just offering a box meal for $10. And, in this case, I've done some variations again. I've used sandwich, salad, and gluten-free. And basically what you've got here are 3 lunchbox options. You can put quantities on these because you may have limited availability, but these are another way that you can limit some of these things. Or again, you can actually go over here to available to, where this drop down is. And I said the word limit, and it prompted me to remind you of this. You could actually say, well, you know what? This is only available to conference attendees. And so you're going to turn it off for grand seating and breakout sessions. Maybe in the grand seating selection type, you're going to make a different type of lunch available to them because they paid extra for front row seating. And so maybe you're going to offer them something more than a box meal, and it's going to be free. And if that's the case, you're going to just make this available to either breakout session leaders and conference attendees and not grand seating members. So you could do something like that. And let's just say you wanted to set up an additional one. And so here we just say new add-on, and let's just offer them something a little different. So let's say this is something like grand seating lunch, and that's going to be free. But maybe we have some options here again. So we have a hot meal option, and let's say there's only 25 of these, because I think we only have 25 total. So then let's say maybe you also have a cold sandwich option. You can do whatever you want here. But again, the idea is to just set these up how they fit for you and utilize add-ons in a way that gives you more flexibility with your conference. So in this one, maybe again, it's optional, but at the same time, don't forget this is only available to grand seating folks. So we set that up for grand seating. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save that, but this is just another example that you can utilize. Notice I've also got some additional sessions set up here. I've got roundtables, Tuesday, 10 a.m. session. Click on that. Again, variations are set up here, so you can basically use these variations to show each session. Again, if it's a specific time or room or whatever, put that in here so people can find that, and maybe that's room 300, whatever. But whenever you're going to be specific with your variation because it's happening in a certain location, put that there so you can read it right here, and somebody will be able to see that when they're signing up for it, and they'll have a reference to that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about are discounts. You can also utilize discounts, and sometimes maybe you can do it a little different than what you might always think of traditionally if you've done registrations before. Sometimes we do the code or whatever, and you could do a code for this one. So if you did a new discount, maybe you're basically going to say special discount here, and special, whoops, we got to spell it right though. So let's do we'll spell it right, special discount, and we're going to do a type here of either flat rate or percent. Let's do a flat rate, and let's say this is a $25 off code, and here's where you can select code, group, or early bird. I'm going to do code here, and it's just going to be called special. So we're going to call this one the special discount. This can be applied to add-ons. If somebody wanted to apply this to their lunch add-on as well, they could. And you could say, you know what, we're only going to offer it for a certain period of time, so I'm going to expire it. In this case, I'll just leave it available. Now, this may not be available for everybody. Now, I've actually set up something a little different here for breakout session leaders, which you can barely see there. So I might only make this available for grand seating and conference attendees. So I'm going to save that, and you'll see now you've got this special discount listed where it actually says 25 off for each conference attendee and grand seating person or attendee, and it's basically a code. Now, I did set up an early bird, and I did set up one for our breakout leaders. So let's look at that. I've got somebody who's a breakout leader, and I mentioned that earlier. I set up a selection type for this. So when they made that choice, they initially saw that the price was the same. But I'm also making a group discount available for only, over here, certain selection types. And it's going to be breakout session leaders. It only applies to them. It's a group. So I've chosen group here with a minimum group size of 0. And when you choose 0, you have the option to apply that to everyone after the zero attendee. So it applies to everyone after the first one, after the 0 attendee, so everybody gets it. So in this situation, this particular group discount of $50, which was a flat rate, will be applied to the breakout session leader. So that just gets automatically applied. That's one way you can do this, and it's kind of cool when you have somebody who's leading or participating in some way, volunteers, leaders, however you want to do that. So let's save that, and then let's look at the last one here, which is the early bird one. Just like it sounds, you can base this off of the early bird option. I'm doing a flat rate again of $25 if you register before, and I set it right here, discount expires before 6/28/2024. So that's how you can basically apply that. And again, I've made this specific to conference attendees and grand seating because the breakout session folks are already getting a discount. So let's go ahead and save that. And then the last thing I want to mention is you can also set up scholarships. Sometimes we like to offer a little bit of financial assistance. So in this particular area, I might just call this scholarship. You might call it something else. Maybe you have a fund set up in your Planning Center Giving that's specific to a place that people can donate specifically for sponsoring people to attend conferences. And in this area, maybe you've got a total of $500 that has been, whoops, that's a lot of money, $500 that have been made available for you to offer as scholarships. Go ahead and click Add Scholarship. And now the scholarship is set up in a way that you can go in here and change it if you need to, but the idea is it can be applied to different folks who might need assistance. And one of the ways that you can find out or offer somebody to let you know that they need assistance is to also look at a registration question. So in this area, you can go back to registration questions and you could actually use a yes/no question here. Having some trouble typing today. Do you need scholarship assistance? That'd be one way to do it. And you could do this as text, or you could do this as, let's say maybe it's going to be a drop down and you're going to say yes, and you add that, and now they can say yes to that. You can put a description here, list out why they might need scholarship assistance, ask some questions. You can even add additional questions to this. The other thing here is it can be optional, so it doesn't have to be required. That's clearly something that somebody can make a choice of. You can save that, and if somebody does choose to select that, now you've got a record of that, and you can follow up with them and have that conversation about that. And once they actually maybe let you know that they need scholarship assistance, you can then go to the registrations tab and you can apply a discount to their actual registration and apply that scholarship. So with this, I've basically broken down all the areas where you can set this up for something specific, like a conference or a large event. There are other things that you can do, and one of those is utilizing check-ins. Now, not everybody wants to do a check-in, but it doesn't mean that you have to do a check-in every single day. When we talk about check-ins, I think one of the interesting things about check-ins is that you can set up a check-in for day one. You can plan on not printing labels or anything like that. Just simply try to get people to let you know that they're there. That's one way to do it. There are other ways that you can utilize check-ins where you can simply do a participatory one where you've set it up and made it available through the settings of the check-in and actually said, make this available through Church Center, and then use a QR code, and you can ask people who are normal congregants at your church to let you know that they actually attended and ask them to use Church Center. That's one way. There's lots of different ways. You can just have a normal check-in and just have self check-in stations set up and 1 or 2 man stations to assist people with, and they can check in. You can print labels if you want to. You don't have to. You can do it however you want to. A lot of times we look at this as more of an RSVP, and it's great to see that we've got all these people signing up and planning to attend our conference, but sometimes it's really nice to know how many people were actually there. Some folks do that check-in on day one, like I mentioned, and then maybe they just do head counts in check-ins where somebody just counts the total number of people for day 2, 3, 4, etc. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can do a check-in for every day. You can make them optional. However you want to do it. Sometimes it's nice to see that participation through a check-in, so it kind of validates how many people actually show up. It's not always going to be 100% accurate if you don't kind of force people to have to do it. But then again, sometimes dealing with long lines is not always great, so it's not always convenient and easy to do a check-in. I get that. But sometimes you also have ticketing options where you do need somebody to register and get their name tag just to prove that they've actually registered and verify that they were there, so that you could verify that information for things like lunches and other special types of arrangements that you make where you need to know that they actually checked in and kind of verified their attendance. So there you go. There's a video on conference type signups, something that you can utilize add-ons a little differently for, something you can use selection types a little differently for. We're going to go ahead and make a couple more of these videos that are just specific to different ways that you can use registrations and signups that maybe you haven't seen before. So keep an eye out for the next one, but hopefully this one on conferences and large events helped you.